Hey, you there. Are you single?
No, I'm actually a double type.
Oh! Oh, we need to change that real quick.
Hello and welcome, my single typed leaves. If you were a Pokemon type, which type would you be? But you can only choose one, because that is what we're gonna do today. If every Pokemon only had one type, which one would it be? And I'm not just gonna choose the first type that is listed, because then we would have exactly two flying types. That's dumb. And Game Freak needs to change the normal flying shit. But, well, I'll take what's the most fitting. We are starting with Gen 1, because if I would go over all 1025 Pokemon, this video would never end. Stay tuned for part 2 as well, though. Well, first on our list is the whole Bulbasaur line. And to take it away, it's very likely that the whole line will be the same type and not change that. Though it's not a guarantee. For some Pokemon, this might change. But when it comes to Bulbasaur, yeah, it's grass all the way. It just makes sense for the starters to be. And the Charmander line, basically the same. This has to be fire type. Probably as long as there's some kind of fire on the Pokemon, especially normal looking fire, then it will be fire type. Squirtle! Yeah, you had my reasoning. This line is pure water in the first place, so what would even change? Now, the Caterpie line will stay bug, because that just makes sense. Even though I always thought that Butterfree would be a great psychic type, I wouldn't change it to that in this case. No, pure bug is completely fine here. Now, Weedle, as the opposite part to Caterpie, could also stay bug, but it's a very poisonous bug, becoming a bee. So I would say you will just be a poison type. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for you, so let's keep you a poison type then. Pidgey and, yeah, spoiler I guess, all subsequent normal flying types will be flying. Like, what else should it be? Should it just be normal? That would be so dumb. Now, Rattata and Raticate, yeah, they're normal already, so yeah, there's that. They do have their Alolan forms though, and those are dark normal. Yeah, we will keep them as dark because that change is deliberate and makes sense, and thus we keep it. Spearow and Fearow, yeah, normal flying. I would say if they were just a singular type, it would be dark. They need to be dark. Why aren't they dark? They should have been changed to dark flying in Gen 2. They are perfect for that. Also, quick note, from here on out, if I wouldn't change anything, I will just skip those that are already only a single type. So just keep that in mind. Makes it easier. And with that said, we have Alolan Raichu. So, I would say it's psychic. Yes, you would change an electric type into a psychic type, but when it comes to regional forms, the whole thing is that new typing they have. The new look as well, of course, but if we would just stay with the typing they've had before, that would be boring. So psychic it is. Alolan Sandshrew, especially Alolan Sandslash, make this hard. Hard like steel? I mean, I am so willing to give them steel. Simply because those steel claws, that sounds so awesome. But it's a literal igloo and literal icicles as spikes. I have to go with ice for them. It's just the more fitting type. Nidoking and Nidoqueen could work as ground types, but given that the other members of their line are just poison types, I feel they could stay poison. Or rather, what if Nidoqueen stays poison and Nidoking becomes ground? To mix them up a bit more, diversify them? We could exchange these types as well. Though, all in all, I think Poison just fits them much better than Ground does. What about them is Ground, actually? Now, we don't have this problem with Vulpix and Ninetales, but the Alolan forms of them. Yeah, Alolan Vulpix is ice, but turns into an ice fairy. And I think the Ninetales Alolan will be fairy. It just has this mythicalness going around, and it's an ice type becoming a fairy type in that case. And I think if we go singular types, type changes need to happen from time to time. And this is a perfect opportunity for one of them. The Jigglypuff line. I, in general, don't like the dual typing, including normal. Because how can you be absolutely not special, but special? Like, you're normal, but also you're on fire. Like, no, then I'm not normal. Then I am on fire. I can be on fire, but also poisonous. That is okay. I can be electric, but also spit water. But like, if I'm normal, I shouldn't be able to do these things. So, what I'm saying is fairy. Zubat and Golbat. I struggled a bit with that because, yeah, flying makes sense. And then I thought, yeah, but well, they're bats, so poison. Wait, bats aren't poisonous. But I have a feeling they work well as poison types, so let's keep them as poison types, yeah. Oddish! That hurts me a bit. I like Oddish a lot. But let's face it, Oddish is a grass type. Absolutely. But Gloom and Vileplume, poison just fits so well. And when you think about Bellossom, so if we have Vileplume as a poison type, then we can make Bellossom in the Gen 2 video into a grass type, because that's what it already is. It has to stay a grass type. It would go grass, poison, grass then, but wouldn't that also be kind of interesting, right? Yeah, I would say we'll take grass, poison, poison here and be good. Paras and Parasect. Yeah, bug grass. I agree that for a game like this, mushrooms should be like plants. Mushrooms aren't actually plants, but you know, you can't just add a mushroom type. That's a bit ridiculous. But all in all, I gotta give them bug. Because, yeah, the mushrooms grow in them, zombify them and everything. And in the end, mushrooms aren't plants. So grass only fits as a second type, but they are definitely bugs. That's one thing you cannot change about them. So there you go. Venonat, bug, and Venomoth, poison. Goes from bug to poison. I think that would fit it well and, I know, upgrade it or something. Something like that, yeah. Alolan Diglett will be steel, of course, because the normal ones are ground already. And also, not only that change, but, you know, steel can be seen as harder ground. Minerals in the ground, stuff like that. So, yeah, that fits it well. Oh, Growlithe and Hisuian Arcanine. You know, I like I said, to diversify the regional forms. Because that makes them all the more different, not just by looks. And I know that the Hisuian forms are rock type because they are based on the Shisa statues that you can find in front of Japanese temples. But that's just it. They are based on those statues, but they are not statues themselves. I know you can see it that way. I think it even is canonically that way, that the fur, the gray fur they have, is like rock. But to me, they just scream fire. So in this case, we don't go with the rock type, and all four of them will just be fire. I kinda hate to do this, but it's just feeling much more right in this case. Poliwrath. I think it looks too much water to become a fighting type if it was water beforehand. So, yeah. But then on the other hand, we do have Politoed being a pure water type. And thus I want to give it fighting type. Because of that. But it's like, just because of that. So, if Pokemon in the first generation were single type, I think it would have been water type and Politoed would be completely different. I think that would have been the way. But well, this is what I can give you for this. The Bellsprout line! As I changed Oddish line into Poison, but also being available to be Grass type, it's hard. Like, they are literal plants, so they should be Grass type, right? And that's why I don't really agree, honestly. Because their whole thing is acid. They do so many stuff with acid. They just have to be Poison type. They just have to be. Tentacool is the poster child of not everything living in the water needs to be water type. And Poison just fits them extremely well. So they get Poison. Okay, Geodude is definitely more rock than ground. Honestly, I don't even understand why they are rock ground type. What is the ground part about them? But then we also have the Alolan forms, which have to stay electric type. They're electrified rocks, and we have that difference, and it fits them. They are like magnetic metal. Why aren't they steel electric, honestly, in the first place? But yeah, give them electric. So, Ponyta and Rapidash, specifically the Galarian forms. Quite honestly, why is Galarian Ponyta even Psychic type and not Fairy? It could gain the Psychic type upon evolution, but not this way around. So what I'm saying is, make them Fairies. I completely changed Ponyta's type here, I know, but... I mean, look at it! It screams Fairy! Yeah, Slowpoke is a bit of a complicated thing. So, how should we tackle this? Honestly, here's what I'm gonna do. I will have it be a water type. But Slowbro will also be a water type. The Galarian one will be a psychic type. The Galarian Slowbro will become a poison type. That gives us Slowking though, which can go full on the psychic type side. So, yeah. I think that's the best way to go around with those. Yeah, Magnemite and Magneton, I gotta give them steel. The thing is, they are absolutely made out of steel. And magnets are, well, not steel, but metal. Steel isn't magnetic. Iron is, but steel isn't. But, you know, a flying metal ball, I can easily see this using electric type moves, but for that it doesn't need to be electric type. But it's a flying ball of metal, so it needs to be steel type, right? And that's what we're gonna do. Do you think it's too far-fetched to say that Farfetch'd is flying? Honestly, yes. I will give this normal type. It's a bird, yeah. But it's a bird that cannot fly. So, why would it be flying type of all things, right? Doesn't make sense. So, there it goes. Just a normal type. And the Galarian form, of course, staying fighting, because why would I change that? By the same reason as Farfetch'd, Doduo and Dodri are normal types. I know they can learn fly, but, like, they can't fly. If you cannot fly, or at least glide or something, you should not be flying type, obviously. So normal it is. Seal and Dugong, honestly, I would give both of them ice. It's not water evolving into ice. Just stay ice. If you want to, you can say Seal is water and evolves into the ice Dugong. Be my guest, but I rather give it ice because if I wouldn't, we would lack ice types really, really heavily. So, yeah, there we go. Grime and Mug are literal poison. So they gotta be poison. And the Alolan forms gotta be dark because they clean up poisonous stuff. Very helpful. So how evil is that? I don't understand that dark type, to be honest. I would give them fairy. Actually. I will give them fairy, actually. Yeah, I'll give them fairy! Shelter and Cloyster. So, I said I gave ice rather than water to Dugong, but what about Cloyster is even ice? I don't see it. What is water about it? Well, it lives in the water, and for Pokemon that's enough. So, yeah, of the two we have available here, just makes sense, right? Give it water. Sorry, Ice. You're cool, but, well, not cool enough. Yeah, the Ghastly line. If I wouldn't make them ghosts, we wouldn't have any Gen 1 ghosts. Also, they are literal ghosts. Why would I make them poison? Onyx is a snake made out of rocks. Why would I choose ground here? Hisuian, Voltorb, and Electrode. Yeah, definitely grass type, because if they were the first Pokemon of their kind evolving into the others, why name them after electricity if they're pure grass types? Okay, that is weird, but I guess you can still give them a lot of electric type moves. So, yeah, it's just differentiating them from Voltorb and Electrode, the normal ones, and also they are literally made out of wood. Execute and Executor, they are seeds and a palm. Literal plants. Definitely grass type. Though the Alolan Executor I will still keep as dragon, because I don't know, it looks like a dragon to me. I don't get how people don't see that. So, yeah. Alolan Marowak will be a ghost type. Just because it's more interesting that way, and yeah, there's literal fire there, but it is ghostly fire. Not fire. So that's more on the ghost side for me as well. Also, a nice nod to Marowak and what happened there in that specific tower. Galarian Weezing, yeah, fairy type. I mean, of course, that's the whole idea here. Rhyhorn and Rhydon. So, do we have any ground types yet? Yeah, Diglett, but they are covered in rocks. How can I make them ground type if they are covered in a rock armor? I just can't. Sorry, ground type, you will be pretty rare. Staryu and Starmie. Honestly, I would go with water, but Starmie with psychic. So you evolve into psychic. Why? I know, it feels like psychic can make sense here. Just that. Mr. Mime will be psychic, that makes sense. While Mr. Mime Galarian form should be ice. It has all that icy parts and stuff. But like that barrier creating things, that's very psychic in my eyes. Scyther, the literal bug. Yeah, it should be a bug. Like, okay, it can fly, so granted, the flying type isn't completely senseless. But if you look at it, what do you think first, right? Jinx. Yeah, I don't actually see why it's psychic, so ice just is completely fine here. Now, Taurus, that's an interesting bunch, because, yeah, of course, the normal one is normal, and the Paldean form is fighting, though the Blaze Breed should definitely be fire, while the Aqua Breed should be water. We have, like, an Eevee that's a bull. That's kinda nice, actually. Magikarp into Gyarados. I will do another thing I did before, and that is change types completely. Because Magikarp and water, fine. But Gyarados shouldn't be water flying. It should always have been, well, since Gen 2, water dark. It's a raging sea snake. Why isn't this dark type? It's like an evil Pokemon. That's literally what the dark type is supposed to be. So this will be singular dark. Lapras strikes me rather as ice. I mean, it floats on the water. It's like a surfing Pokemon. That's what Ice also does, so Ice it is. Armanite and Armastar, as well as Kabuto and Kabutops. Yeah, just water. All 4 of them. The rock type is only there because they were fossils, but even ancient ones that never were fossilized are rock type. Why? There's no rock on them. Aerodactyl, however, I will do as a rock type, not a flying type. Now you might wonder why. This thing is flying, and what about it is rock type? The way I always imagined Aerodactyl to be is like the skin is rock. Like, it has a rock skin. And I still see it that way. So rock makes perfect sense, and also shows us not everything in the air needs to be flying. Okay, for Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres, as well as their Galarian forms, let's just remove the flying type from all of them. Because if we wouldn't do that, they would all kinda need to be flying type, and that would be very boring. This way, they can have more personality, and also, like I said, just because it can fly, doesn't mean it needs to be flying type. That's something that Pokemon actually does more than you think. And finally, Dragonite, because Mewtwo and Mew are just psychic types. I mean, come on, Dragonite cannot be flying type. We need to give this Dragon type. Else we wouldn't have any fully evolved Dragon type in Gen 1. And that just can't, like, that wouldn't work. That would be stupid. So Dragon type it is. And so it is a dragon. So that's my idea of which Pokemon from Gen 1 would be which singular type if we don't have dual types. Did you like those ideas? What would you change? Tell me in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. After you checked out this video here, you are lucky you have won this. Go grab your winnings now. Bye, B.